welcome to another edition of Inside Plano. I'm Amanda McNew, Director of Media Relations, and we have some very special guests with us today.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Shannah Hayley, Director of Communications for the City of Plano. And like Amanda said, we're back with another great episode of the podcast. Amanda, do you want to introduce our guests?
I would love to. We've got Maggie Fox and Janet Cox from Plano Public Libraries, and we've got Courtney Walker, who's the founder of Libraries for All.
Well, ladies, we asked you to join us today because we think that the community ought to know about our adapted library collection. And my understanding from Amanda is that this really started with you, Courtney. Can you talk to us a little bit about what Libraries for All is and the mission that you do?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a former librarian and I worked at Plano ISD. And when I was working at Skaggs Elementary, we were a centralized campus for the students with the highest level of support needs in special education. And that was something I've been passionate about my whole life. And so I thought, I'm ready to go and I've got this. And I quickly found out I didn't have the training, the knowledge, the resources, the collection to support this population. And so it kind of became my mission to figure out how to make my library program serve these students. And a big part of that was coming up with adapted books, which is, I know we're going to discuss a lot today. But through this mission of mine to make libraries more accessible for readers with disabilities, I've been, my work as a librarian and doing presenting and writing, and it led to me starting Libraries for All, which is a mission-driven business, and I offer consulting and products and trainings to librarians, publishers, and authors, just to make books and literacy accessible to all readers.
Awesome.
Talk to us, what is an adapted book for listeners who don't know what that is?
Yes, so an adapted book is not my original idea. These originated in special education services, and I saw them in the special education classrooms on my campus. Very generally, an adapted book is a book that's been modified to be more accessible to readers who have disabilities. And generally, they're laminated to be more durable and rebound, and then they have some sort of additional things added to them. It could be sensory items or something to make it more accessible, like for turning pages. And I saw these in the special education classroom used mainly for curriculum focused reasons, and I wanted to take that idea and make library books. So library adapted books, I've kind of worked over the years on coming up with the best possible version of them, and it's the traditionally published books that you would see in any library, and they are laminated to be more durable, and then they have sensory items added to each page to make it more engaging, and for those who have sensory deficits, or just really any reader, because they're really fun to read.
So okay, when you created these books in the library, what are the reactions you see when kids see these books for the first time?
So it was truly amazing. Sometimes I just go into things without, like too much thought. And so when I saw adapted books, I was like, I'm making them for my library. And then I was like, I hope these are really successful. And it was even better than I could have imagined, the response. Library time for those students with significant disabilities, it was completely different. When I had been doing read alouds, there really wasn't much engagement. And when the books were getting checked out and taken home, I could tell they either weren't really being read or they were coming back with damage, which never upset me, but it clearly was making the families and readers that's uncomfortable to feel like you can't interact with something in a safe way. And so just seeing the joy of both the read alouds and library time and the checkouts and hearing from the families and also seeing the students really interacting with them. But then what I didn't expect is that the whole school ended up loving them, like from kindergarten to fifth grade to teachers taking them home to their toddler. I mean, everyone really enjoyed them. And so it was really wonderful to see how much they were loved and what a difference that they made.
Now, before we started filming, we were actually talking about that there's some books that are better for adoption than others. Can we talk a little bit about why? Because you all are professional librarians and there is thought and intention in a collection. So how do you know what works successfully and what doesn't?
So I usually say any book can be adapted. So it just will be different levels of challenging for when you're doing it. There's some that you sit there and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to put on this page? For the laminating and binding, it's typically the same or very similar. But when you're coming up with the sensory items, really detailed images can be challenging. And if there's not a lot of really, I'm trying to think, like bold details, they can all be adapted. But the books that are really, really the best are bold and bright images, and then illustrations that are, I think, really bright and bold. And then the books themselves, eye-catching. Repetition. And I really like suggesting that an adapted collection has a range of topics, genres, levels, but books that are not too, what's the word? They're more concrete stories, can be better. So it really is, I know that's not a very specific answer, really anything can be, but the illustrations make a big difference. And then, the audience of, who you're targeting to, so also can make a difference.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to say how a book is adapted. It's not changed. The story is not changed in any way. It's used to enhance the reader's experience. So that's very important to share with all of our readers out there.
Extremely important. That's like in bold on every slide of my presentation. It says enhance, don't change, because you are never changing the intention of the illustrations or stories. You're never blocking words or what the image is conveying. So yes, it's always enhancing what's already on there. So connecting to either the colors or the texture or the shape or even the real item or hopefully multiple of them. So always connecting to that. I'm glad you mentioned that.
So tell us, how did Plano Libraries get involved in this?
Yeah, so our director met Courtney at a conference, and Courtney had a ball of energy that she is. Made a real big impression, so we set up a meeting and sat down and thought about the ways that we could partner. She had some ideas, and one of those ideas was this adapted book collection, which really fit well into our programming we're doing at the library for our adapted audience. So we do adapted story time for ages 3 to 5 and their families, and that felt like a really good opportunity to tie a collection into programming that we're already offering the community. So we got started on the project and just hit the ground running, and it was so much fun.
So, and now I understand that you're all expanding, so now it's great. It started at Skaggs Elementary, expanded to Plano Libraries, and now you're actually reaching well beyond there, all of you.
Yes, which is crazy because in it's such a full circle moment, but in my opening of the collection on my campus, I did a dedication, and I said that my goal was that this would spread beyond the walls of Skaggs. I was hopefully to maybe some more schools, and I'm a dreamer, so I'm the whole world, but at least I just want it to go beyond. And so it's pretty amazing. We have Plano Public Library. I'm just forever grateful for them doing this. This is the first adapted book collection in a public library, so this was a very big deal for both my mission, but also I think for the community. And I'm just so grateful for them being so committed to this mission, the importance of reaching all readers. But yes, we have some exciting things coming that we're going to be presenting. I don't know if you want to share about that.
Sure. We're going to be presenting at the PLA, which is the Public Library Association Conference in April. And so we're going to have a chance to present to hundreds of people on this topic. And we're hoping to make it into a little workshop so people can actually see how to make the books. And we're super excited about that. But I was going to add, when we started, we had 49 of these books. And when did we start? In February? In February.
Yeah.
And these 49 books have circulated over 400 times in just these few months since we've done it. So this has had a really big impact on the children who come to the programming.
So just for listeners who might be not watching right when this drops, we're talking about less than 12 months that these have been available, and it's circulated over 400 times.
And there's only 49 books.
Only 49 books.
Yeah.
Yep. So I would assume that you're thinking you're going to expand the collection. And
We are. I've already started ordering some new books.
Yay.
One is about a butterfly. That's because of yours. And so we're talking about what books that we want to move forward with based on the books that we had previously.
Well, Courtney mentioned durability is, a really important factor. Do we still have families that worry about, whether if the book comes back, what does Plano Library say about that?
Yeah. So these particular books we actually circulate in a little plastic tote bag.
Oh, so it's fine.
And it's fine. And what we tell the parents, especially during the programming, is that it's okay if your kids pull the pieces off. It's okay. Just throw the pieces back in the bag. Or if something happens to the pieces, you can throw them away. These books are durable. They're meant to be torn, or not really torn, but they're meant to be handled roughly because not every child knows how to treat a delicate book, and these are not delicate books.
I think that's a huge point. So, in full disclosure, I actually met Courtney because my son was one of those students at SCAG. So we went from checking out books that, you're right, we would not read. I might take it out because he would either rip the pages or he would try to eat the book. And I was terrified that he was destroying books for the whole library. And all of a sudden one day he came home in his backpack and I see folded papers and glitter and things, and I'm like, what is this? And it was a book. And I opened it and Lucas saw it and grabbed it. Like, he was, the first time he wanted that book.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was amazing that I had to clarify, can we mess with this? But he actually had interest in this book, and it really did change how he saw library time, how he saw visiting, because it is hard when you have a child with intellectual disabilities. You want them to have the same things that every other kid does. And giving him an opportunity to explore what's inside of a book is just life-changing.
Yes. The durability really is, I feel like the sensory items get a lot of attention, but the durability really is such a game changer, because seeing the students be able to, like, I can even picture Lucas, like I have a picture that I can see and he's interacting with the book, and like, just being able to let them independently interact with books is something that maybe a lot of families hadn't been able to do, or feeling like nervous that you had to watch or be like, and just that's an experience. Like, there's so many things that libraries are, I'll try not to get on a soapbox, but libraries are so many things. They're experiences, they're the books, they're collections, the interactions. And one of those things is the independence of picking out a book you want and being able to have something that's accessible to you and that you can you can interact with and feel safe. And so I just, seeing that, like seeing them be able to and hearing those stories, like that's just, that's everything. That's all of it.
It is. And when you talk about the libraries, a lot of people hear accessibility and they think of making sure someone with a wheelchair can get through a building.
Yes.
They think of literal access. But what we're talking about is so much bigger than that.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
We have a variety of adapted library programs. So we do our adapted storytime I mentioned earlier, but we also have art programs, science programs, just for families and children of that age and with those needs to have an experience that is not overwhelming, engaging. They can move at their own pace. It's a magical experience when they're able to come to a library program and get something out of it just like anybody else. And I wanted to share a story from the first adapted storytime where we brought these books out, because we did pilot them with our adapted storytime audience. And so Courtney came to our first one. She did a brief presentation on what the books were, how to use them. Go ahead, pick out a title. There's this one boy in the adapted storytime. He didn't sit down the whole time. He was roaming around the room. He got on his tablet. He went into the quiet tent, all over the place, which is okay. That's okay. That's what we like to see in our adapted storytime programs. But as soon as he picked out one of these adapted books, he sat down in his caregiver's lap, went through the book, sat there still for about 10 minutes, and went through that book like 3 times, touching all the pages, reading the words, and it was magical.
It was.
It really is magical.
In 10 minutes for a child who's hard to get attention to, that is huge. That is a very long time. That may sound short to a lot of people, but That's very significant.
Yeah.
So how do families engage with the adapted programs at Plano Public Library? Because you do have a passion for serving all of the community. So I'm a new family, we've just moved to Plano. How would I know about the resources and find opportunities for our family?
Good question. We have a website,
Okay.
planolibrary.org, or the Plano Library app. And both of those have our online calendar. And there's a filter to look for adapted library programs. So you can click on that filter and see all the programs we have coming up in the next few months for the adapted audience. Most of our adapted programs request registration, so we can limit the size of the program because that's really important for the adapted audience. But there's always still room, so don't fear, you can get into our adapted programs. And yeah, it's easy as that. And we understand if you're not able to make it on the day of because things happen, emotions get the best of us, or we're just struggling to get out of the house that day. That's okay. Try again another time. We'll welcome you whenever you can make it in.
Are the programs offered at every location?
Pretty much at all 5 locations you can attend an adapted program. We do have adapted storytimes only at Davis just because we've built the structure there to have the room ready to go each week, since that is a weekly program we try to offer in 5 series. So we darken the room, have things on the door to not let light in the room. I don't know what that's called right now.
Privacy.
Shades,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, and then we have a quiet tent. We have some fidgets. It's intentional, and that's what we want for this audience, is for them to feel like they're welcome here and they have resources and a space to do that.
Right. And like Amanda, you said, like it's so many people think that accessibility and is all about just like you're allowed to go in there, or you literally can, like you can physically go in, or you're allowed to check out a book. But it's so much more. It's the goal is so much more than that. And I'm just so grateful for Plano Public Library for like knowing that and doing so many different innovative things. And even when I was a librarian, I like went to a conference and learned from them, and they're really they take those steps to go beyond that. And that is exactly my mission as well. Is it's not just the like you're allowed to that like equal access. It's going beyond and making sure that it's equitable and that it's really getting the same experience and joy and everything from that. So they're just so wonderful at that.
Well, it also creates that belonging that you want all of your kids to be able to go to the library and to participate. And sometimes as parents, it's really hard to come up with ideas or programs. And some people, me included, I would think, what can I take Lucas to that will not disrupt everyone and ruin their experience? And so with Plano Public Libraries doing this, it really does change that game of we belong.
Glad to hear it, because we have really passionate staff that want to serve this audience, and we are finding ways to offer programs that fits the needs and interests of our community. So if you do have ideas for programs that would fit for you and your family, let us know. We can see what possibilities are out there.
Okay, so you brought 2 books. Can you walk us through and just really talk us through for listeners, what are we going to see in these pages? Because we say sensory and we talk about what you feel, but what does that actually mean for the reader?
Right. Do you want me to? Okay. So the pages, like I mentioned, they're laminated, so they can be cleaned. They're durable. They're ready to have any interaction. And the binding is easy to replace pages. That was a big thing when I was a librarian, is if pages get pulled out, so they can be replaced. The sensory items, it's if you think of kind of like crafty items. So there's pom-poms and glitter paper, and there's ribbon and googly eyes and buttons and foam. And as you can see, we talked earlier about how it connects to the image. So you can see they're adding on to what is already in the illustration, and oh my gosh, that is so cute, and connecting to it. And this is another detail that adapted books, I recommend, and they have the title underlined, because identifying the title is, you know, an important reading skill. And so that way there's a sensory connection to that. And yeah, it's just lots of different things you would never expect, you know, gems. And the goal is to have a variety of sensory items. So you wouldn't want it to be all one thing, so that it's more exciting, more interesting. And this is so cute. This one's adorable.
But you don't want to put too much on one page.
Correct. Yeah, it's kind of a balance between having enough to be engaging, but not too much where it's distracting. But yeah, it's just a wide variety of craft supplies, and there's certain ones that you'll discover just adhere better or stay on better, and also just are more engaging, and you can try all kinds of different things.
Okay, so I was looking at some of the pages stuck out more than others, and I wanted to know what it was in there. I'm looking at a page that looks like it's got little, like the old popcorn ceilings. It's how it reminds me of.
Yes.
It's just something unexpected. It's not just a button or a piece of cotton. It is something very unique to touch.
Yes.
And I keep wanting to touch
Yes.
it. And look, I moved it.
It's all right.
That's okay.
That's
It's
okay.
all right.
That's what they're,
Right.
that's what it's about. And yeah, it's fun finding new things too.
So the other thing I'm noticing is there's a lot of high contrast. When y'all talked about which books work, is that because, do you ever talk with the authors, I guess, when they're creating a book, have they ever changed what they're doing to make it higher contrast books to be adapted?
So that is, I have worked with authors, but not at that stage. One of my goals for Libraries for All is to hopefully start from the source of publishing and authors, of making them more accessible, because it's wonderful to be able to make them, but I would love for it to, you know, those resources to be far more readily available. So I haven't talked to them about that in particular, but just have talked with some authors about the adapting and respecting their art and their vision, and the publishers to make sure, you know, it's also copyright and everything, which it is. And yeah, but hopefully that's a goal of mine, is to you know, make the change all the way up to that level of, you know, creating more books. And board books exist, and board books with sensory items exist, but that's not the same books. So my goal was, I want these readers, when I was a librarian and now for everyone, to have access to the same books everyone knows and love. And board books, they're typically made just for that board book, and the audience is usually infants. And so that's not the same. These are readers that have a wide variety of intellectual levels and interest. And I was the librarian, I think we're all like this, we're like, if a kindergartner wants a big chapter book, that's fine. And so it's, I forgot where I was going with that. It was something I was passionate about it. The books the board books, that's right. And so board books with the sensory items, that's not the same thing as having access, that's what it was, to the same books everyone knows and love, and the library books. So
board books can be chewed up.
yes.
Well, so can these.
Well, but I mean, like, they would be destroyed if they're chewed, and this one can handle that a little bit better.
Yes. So yeah, when I was starting this process, there's definitely some different things that exist. Like, there's no tear pages, but this was just very unique in that it kind of combined a lot of stuff: the sensory and the books everyone knows and loves, and the durability. So that's what makes them stand out.
So you do orders on your website.
I do.
What is the farthest place away that you've had an order so far?
Oh my goodness. I think there was one from New York, and I've really had them. It's kind of been from all over the U.S. right now. You know, dream even bigger than that. But yeah, it's been exciting. I had no intentions of starting to make and sell the books, but when I started Libraries for All, that was the number one thing that people were asking about, and it was really interesting because my focus was originally on libraries, but I found that families and individuals were just they were looking for resources, and that was the question I kept getting asked every time I would share was, but can we buy, or can we get one to have for our home? And so it's been exciting to see that individuals are able to bring it there, and special education teachers have recently kind of started finding it and adding them to their classrooms, so that's been really exciting.
Well, you sent a book to a popular person from a Netflix show that was really excited to receive your book.
Yes, I did. I sent one to Tanner on Love on the Spectrum. He does visits, and he reads one of my favorite books called Flap Your Hands, and it's about stimming. And I was like, he needs an adapted version. It's a book about stimming. And so I sent him one, and he would very kindly posted a video, and that was exciting to get some people finding the work.
Oh, that's amazing. So would you say, Plano Library team, you work with a number of vendors. Are you seeing this, we know we have one great vendor in Courtney who creates them. Is this becoming a growing market where authors are recognizing, book vendors are recognizing that books should be offered in multiple versions of the same exact book to reach a broader audience, or do you think that's an opportunity still to be recognized?
I think that's a yes and no question. That yes, they're starting to realize that there's opportunity to grow. One of the things that I've seen in the past few years is large print is now being targeted for junior fiction and for young adult, which is something that was not offered 10 years ago. And there are, large print is good for children with dyslexia and just people, even new adult readers. And so it's slowly getting there.
Oh, that's exciting.
I think it's slowly getting there.
And the Wonder Books or
That's
Box
true.
Books,
Yes.
if you wanted to share those.
Yeah, we do have these books called Wonder Books and Box Books at the library, which are picture books and or chapter books, and it's play along, kind of like the records we had when we were kids. The read along records, it's the same thing, except it's a little MP3 in the book.
Wow.
And it's really cool, especially if you get a really fantastic narrator. It's all about the narrator. But so they're getting there. But things like these adapted books right here, it's all Courtney right now.
Oh, they're fabulous. Yeah. They're fabulous. It's very exciting to me to see all the many ways that the libraries are more than books, even with books. This is because it is just for me, to hear the impact that it makes on families. It tells a story beyond the story that you're just reading and the way that it can change a family's experience. I love that you mentioned, Amanda, that it creates a sense of belonging, and I think that's something that Plano does very well in meeting the needs of our community as a whole. Plano's made up of many different families, many different folks with different needs, and to be able to reach out from your multilingual collections to our adapted collection to all the programs you offer. It's just really exciting to hear. And Courtney, what an exciting thing to see Vision come to life.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
So before we end, quick question. What are I want to know the three of your favorite books.
Oh,
That's a hard question for a librarian.
How about your favorite adapted book?
Oh, my favorite adapted one. Oh, that's so hard. I just adapted The Watermelon Seed, and that was my favorite read aloud. I did that one every year almost, and so I'm really excited for that one. That's one of my favorites. And Pig the Pug is another favorite. I like silly books.
yes, yeah. I really like that butterfly book, and I can't remember the name of it. The little caterpillar who wants to become a butterfly, but he thinks it's instantaneous.
Oh, the Very Impatient Caterpillar?
Yes, the
I
Very
love that
Impatient
one.
Caterpillar.
Ross
Yeah, he is
Garage.
hilarious.
That
That's
was so good.
Yeah, that's one we're starting to work on.
That was a fun one to adapt.
And I got in on the adapted because I love being creative, and I had a
It
great
is fun.
time
It's fun to do.
finding jewels, pom-poms, textured paper to adhere to the different pages. So I did Todd Parr's My Feelings book.
Yeah, that was a great
Yeah,
one.
that is a third one. That's my favorite.
That one was, I would say, yeah, it was really easy to
Yes.
do. And so special because it was about feelings. So you got to put little gems on the eyes for sad as tears are coming down, or little foam hearts for love. And
She had all the feelings while working on all the feelings.
And this one right here is one of my favorites too. The I Am Not,
I'm
a,
Not
chair.
a Chair. That was
I
so
Am Not a
funny.
Chair.
Yes,
yeah,
with
that's
the giraffe.
hilarious. That was
He's hilarious.
one of the most popular in my school library.
So I'm looking at this book, and it's got the word roar, and all of the letters are textured. But I don't see that on many of these pages. Is that to make it different? Like, why would you choose it on one page and then do other kind of sensory things on others?
it's whatever the story needs in that moment. So roar is huge. It takes up the whole page. So provide emphasis on that by adding that textured paper there. you can see the giraffe here is a little angry about somebody being in his chair, so we added foam eyebrows to really define the shape of the eyebrows and show that he is angry. So it's finding ways to enhance the story and provide different textured experiences throughout.
And it's also, they were adapted for this collection, both by the staff but also volunteers. And there is a level of like individual creativity for it. So definitely like whoever was adapting it, like they were able to have, like I trained them and guided them, but they're able to have that, you know, individual creativity to decide some things. So you'll see like the different books will have different kind of vibes to them.
Yeah, the volunteers had a fabulous time.
It sounds like a great service project.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. That sounds amazing.
It's wonderful. I worked with one company that they have a giving back day, and they adapted books and donated them to actually another Plano school. So it really is. It's fun. It's a amazing mission, but also it's like for the actual. It's fun to do.
And you said we can go find these books at any Plano Public Library?
They are at the Davis Library, but you can place a hold request and pick them up at any of our 5 locations.
Very good.
All right, that sounds great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I learned a lot, even though I thought I knew about adapted books. I've learned a lot today, and it's been great having all of you here.
I know, and I'm just sitting here thinking, what a fun service project idea. I thought, well, I maybe know what our team is going to do for our
I don't think you and I were giving each other the eye. Like,
we're just like, we think this is what the team's going to do because this sounds fabulous. And we work with a bunch of creatives, so this just sounds like something we want to do.
Yes.
Well, you know how it is, audience of Inside Plano. If there are other topics that you don't know about, that you want to ask about, you can always send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. Your host, Amanda McNew. I'm along for the ride, Shannah, Hayley, but thank you all very much for joining us.
This was an honor.
fascinating. Thanks for picking the topic, Amanda, because this was awesome. I learned so much. Yes, you'll take that.
It's amazing.
We'll talk to you all next time.